The debate continued for 6 more hours. Voices were raised, threats were made. Ancient grievances between species bubbled to the surface as fear and uncertainty took hold. But gradually, as exhaustion set in and tempers cooled, a consensus began to form. Counselor Vesh had been quiet for most of the debate, their light pulsing in subtle patterns as they processed everything. Finally, they spoke, and their words cut through the argument like a blade. We are afraid. That is the truth of this moment. We are afraid because for the first time in millennia, we have encountered a power we cannot control or predict. But consider what the humans have actually done. They discovered their advantage centuries ago and chose not to use it. They could have conquered us all by now, but instead they hide. That is not the behavior of a hostile species. It is the behavior of a cautious one, Krell admitted. But caution can change to aggression in a single generation. Then we must ensure it does not. I propose we accept their decision. Let them refuse the council seat. Let them maintain their secret. But we establish a direct line of communication between our governments. An understanding. They hold all the power in such an arrangement, Commander Draxus objected. They already hold all the power. At least this way we acknowledge it honestly and build something resembling trust. The vote was close. Several species wanted to fight. Others wanted to pretend they had never learned the truth. But in the end, Vesh's proposal carried by a narrow margin. They would accept humanity's terms and hope that the secret would hold. 3 days later, Kate and Ryan met with the alien delegation in the same receiving hall where everything had started. The atmosphere was different now. The aliens looked tired. Their earlier arrogance had been replaced by something closer to resignation. Krell spoke for the group. The Council has agreed to your terms. We will not reveal the truth of your civilization to the broader galaxy. We will continue to recognize you only as the limited presence you show in your inner system. In exchange, we ask for a permanent communication channel and your assurance that humanity will not expand into occupied space. Kate nodded. Agreed. We have been avoiding your territories anyway. The galaxy is large enough for all of us. There is one more thing, Vesh said. In time, perhaps centuries from now, when your civilization matures further, and when you feel ready, would you consider sharing some of your advances? Not weapons, but medicine, environmental technology. The galaxy faces challenges that your innovations might solve. Kate exchanged a glance with Ryan. They had discussed this possibility many times. Perhaps, when the time is right, when it would not destabilize the existing order, we can discuss it through our new communication channels. The aliens began making preparations to depart. Shuttles were loaded. Diplomatic protocols were observed. But as the last of them prepared to leave, Commander Draxus approached Kate privately. The massive warrior looked diminished somehow, as if the revelation had taken something from him. I am a warrior. I understand strength and power. What I do not understand is restraint. Why do you truly hide? Pride. Fear. Kate considered the question carefully. Responsibility. With the power we have comes the responsibility to use it wisely. The moment we reveal ourselves fully, we become responsible for the fate of trillions of beings across thousands of worlds. We become the arbiters of galactic affairs, whether we want to or not. That is a weight we are not sure we are ready to bear. Draxus studied her for a long moment. Perhaps your species is wiser than I thought, or perhaps you are simply better at understanding the burden of power. Either way, I hope you know what you are doing. So do we. The alien fleet departed that evening. 7 massive ships rose into the sky and vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving Earth's orbit clear once more. In the facility beneath the Colorado Mountains, Kate stood at her desk, looking at the status reports from across human space. No incidents, no conflicts. The secret had held. Ryan entered carrying 2 cups of coffee. He set one on her desk and took his usual seat. Think they will keep the secret? For now. But secrets have a way of getting out. Eventually, the galaxy will know the truth about humanity. When that day comes, I just hope we are ready to handle what follows. And if we are not. Kate took a sip of her coffee. Then we had better get ready fast. Because once the secret is out, there is no putting it back. Far above Earth, invisible to all sensors, the dreadnought Vigilance maintained its eternal watch. Captain Ben Harper sat in his command chair, monitoring the departure of the alien fleet. His ship was just one of hundreds scattered throughout the solar system, part of a defensive network that the galactic community did not know existed. Stand down from alert status, resume standard patrol. His first officer, Lieutenant Amy Cross, looked relieved. That was too close. If they had pushed deeper and found the shipyards around Neptune. But they did not, and now they will not. We bought ourselves more time. How much time do you think we have before the secret comes out? Ben gazed at the departing alien ships, their energy trails fading into the darkness. As long as we need. As long as we need. The galaxy continued to turn, vast and ancient and full, of species that had learned to coexist over thousands of years. They had built a civilization based on balance and restraint, where no single power could dominate the others. It was a fragile peace, maintained through careful diplomacy and the understanding that they were all roughly equal in capability. But that understanding was now a lie. Humanity had shattered the balance without anyone knowing. They possessed technology that could remake the galaxy. They had the numbers to overwhelm any opposition. They had the power to impose their will on every species in known space, and they had chosen not to use it. In the outer colonies, billions of humans went about their lives, building cities on alien worlds, raising families under foreign stars. They knew the truth. They had always known. Their grandparents and great-grandparents had made the long journey from Earth, traveling through space at speeds the galactic community believed impossible. They had settled worlds that no one else had claimed, staying carefully away from the boundaries of known space. They were the real humanity, the inner system, with its struggling Mars colonies and its handful of fusion-powered ships. That was just a mask. A performance for an audience that was only now beginning to suspect the truth. Kate Morrison stood at her window, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Captain Ben Harper was watching over them. Somewhere out there, 2 trillion humans were building a civilization that spanned thousands of light years. And somewhere out there, the aliens were returning to their council, carrying a secret that would change everything if it ever got out. She thought about the choice their ancestors had made 300 years ago. Hide or reveal. Safety or honesty. Peace or chaos. They had chosen to hide, and that choice had defined every generation since. Now the burden had passed to her. She would have to maintain the lie. She would have to keep humanity's true face hidden from the galaxy. Ryan joined her at the window. You did well. The negotiations went better than we hoped. Kate shook her head. We did not negotiate. We told them the truth and relied on their fear to keep them quiet. That is not diplomacy. That is a threat wrapped in pleasant words. Maybe, but it worked. And now we have a communication channel. Maybe something good can come from this. Maybe we can start preparing the galaxy for the day when we finally step out of the shadows. Kate wanted to believe that. She wanted to think that there was a path forward where humanity could reveal itself without triggering the catastrophe they all feared. But she had studied history. She knew what happened when one power became too dominant. The strong either became tyrants or were torn down by the weak. There was rarely a middle path. The stars continued to shine. The galaxy continued to turn. And humanity continued to watch from the shadows, waiting for the day when they would finally be ready to take their place in the light. If that day ever came. The emergency council session was held aboard the Eternal Dawn, in a secure chamber that could not be monitored from the outside. Ambassador Krell paced back and forth, his scales flashing between green and angry red. Commander Draxus sat in his reinforced chair, claws extended, looking like he wanted to tear something apart. Counselor Vesh pulsed with rapid color changes that indicated extreme agitation. The other delegates were equally disturbed. Captain Zara stood in the center of the room, feeling very small and very scared. She had just finished describing what happened near Saturn. Every word felt like a confession of failure. She was a scientist, trained to observe and document, But the humans had taken her observations and wiped them away as easily as erasing chalk from a board. They attacked a council vessel, Krell hissed. This is an act of war. The door to the chamber opened. Kate Morrison entered, followed by Colonel Ryan Blake and 3 other high-ranking officers. The humans wore simple dark suits, no weapons visible, but their presence changed the atmosphere in the room instantly. Kate moved with the confidence of someone who knew they held all the cards. She took a position at the front of the chamber and met Krell's glare without flinching. We did not attack anyone. We relocated your ship safely back to Earth orbit and prevented Captain Zara from discovering information that would destabilize the entire galaxy. What information? Counselor Vesh pulsed, their light taking on a desperate quality. What could possibly justify such actions? Kate took a deep breath. Behind her, Ryan stood with his arms crossed, his expression neutral. You want to know why we will not take our seat on the council? I will tell you. It is because we have already met the council. 300 years ago, the aliens fell silent. Zara felt her multiple hearts skip beats. 300 years ago, humans had barely achieved orbital flight. The timeline made no sense. That is impossible, Krell said finally. 300 years ago, you were launching primitive chemical rockets. Our records show your first faster-than-light vessel was launched only 80 cycles past. Your records show what we wanted you to see. The truth is that humanity achieved faster-than-light travel in the late 21st century. Real faster-than-light travel, not the slow jump drives you use. We spread across the outer system, established colonies, and then kept going. Kate activated a portable holographic projector. The chamber filled with a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Thousands of stars were marked in blue. Zara felt her legs go weak. Each mark represented a star system, and there were so many of them. These are human colonies. We have been expanding for 3 centuries. We have settled more than 4,000 star systems. We have a population of over 2 trillion spread across the galaxy. Nobody spoke. The number was too large to comprehend. The Vorath Empire, one of the most powerful in the Council, had colonies in 300 systems. The humans claimed more than 10 times that number. Commander Draxus rose slowly from his chair. His voice was quiet, which somehow made it more terrifying. You hid from us. You saw our technology and realized you were more advanced. Kate nodded. Much more advanced. The drive technology you use is thousands of years old. You have refined it, yes, but never truly innovated. Your weapons, your shields, your computers, all of it is based on technology discovered long ago. The Council maintains stability by ensuring no one species gains too much advantage, but humanity developed in isolation. We had no council to regulate our research, no agreements to limit weapons development. But humanity did gain that advantage, Vesh said quietly. You advanced differently because you had no restrictions. Exactly. And when we realized how far ahead we were, we faced a choice. We could reveal ourselves and completely upend the galactic order, potentially starting wars that would kill trillions. Or we could stay hidden and let the galaxy continue in peace. So you pretended to be primitive, Zara heard herself say. The ships we have seen, the colonies in your inner system, those are all fake. Theater, Kate confirmed. We maintain a false front, showing you the humanity you expect to see. Meanwhile, our real civilization expands through unexplored space. We avoid your territories. We do not interfere. We keep the secret. How many know the truth, Vesh asked. On your side. On Earth, a few thousand government officials and military leaders. In the outer colonies, everyone. It is only the inner system that maintains the illusion. Commander Draxus moved forward. Despite his size, he moved with predatory grace. You could conquer us, all of us, if what you say is true. Kate met his gaze without fear. Yes, we could. That is exactly why we will not join your council. The moment we do, the moment we show our true strength, everything changes. Species will either bow to us or unite against us. The peace you have maintained for thousands of years will shatter. We do not want that responsibility. Krell's scales had stopped changing color. He stood very still. So you hide? You watch us from the shadows and let us believe we are the masters of the galaxy. How is that not worse than conquest? Ryan spoke for the first time. Because conquest ends, empire ends, but knowledge once released cannot be contained. If we reveal ourselves, if we share our technology or demonstrate our full capabilities, we change the galaxy forever. Maybe for better, probably for worse. We are not wise enough to make that decision. The chamber fell silent again. Zara looked at the holographic map still floating in the air. 4,000 systems, 2 trillion humans, and they had kept it secret for 3 centuries. The discipline that required was almost as impressive as the technology itself. Counselor Vesh's light dimmed to a soft glow. We need time to discuss this. Among ourselves, Kate nodded. We will wait outside. Take all the time you need. The humans filed out of the chamber. The door closed behind them with a soft hiss. For a long moment, none of the council delegates spoke. They all stared at the holographic map, at the thousands of blue markers representing a human presence that dwarfed everything they had built. Finally, Commander Draxus spoke. We should attack them now, before they grow even stronger. Mobilize the full might of the council fleet and crush them while we still can. And how many of our people will die in the attempt? Vesh asked. If they are even half as advanced as they claim, we would be slaughtered. They are bluffing, Krell insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. No species could advance so far without our knowledge. Zara shook her head. I saw those ships. I felt what they did to the stellar truth. That was not a bluff. That was a demonstration of power held in check. They could have destroyed us. Instead, they moved us across millions of kilometers without harming a single crew member. That kind of precision, that kind of control is more frightening than any weapon. The research vessel Stellar Truth was not a warship. Captain Zara had made that clear to her crew before they departed from the diplomatic fleet. Their mission was scientific observation, nothing more. The ship was equipped with the most advanced sensor arrays in the galactic community, capable of detecting energy signatures from millions of kilometers away. But its weapons were minimal, barely enough to fend off pirates. Zara stood on the bridge, her forearms working different control stations simultaneously. The Quillen were natural multitaskers, and she took pride in her ability to process multiple data streams at once. Her multifaceted eyes could perceive wavelengths of light that humans could not even imagine. Right now, those eyes were focused on the holographic display showing their path through Earth's solar system. They had passed Mars an hour ago. The red planet was home to several human colonies, all of them small and struggling in the harsh environment. Zara had examined them briefly. Nothing interesting. Standard dome habitats, basic life support, minimal industrial capacity. Exactly what one would expect from a young species trying to expand beyond its homeworld. Her sensor officer, a young Quillen named Tev, called out from his station. Captain, initial scans of Jupiter show extensive mining operations, multiple stations on Io and Europa. Energy signatures are consistent with fusion reactors. Nothing unusual for a developing species. Zara acknowledged the report and ordered them to continue outward. The massive gas giant disappeared behind them as they pushed deeper into the outer system. This was taking too long. The humans had been evasive, yes, but perhaps there really was nothing to find. Perhaps they were simply embarrassed by their primitive state and did not want the council poking around. Then they approached Saturn and everything changed. Captain, Tev said slowly, his voice uncertain. I am detecting spatial anomalies near Titan. Zara moved to his station. Show me. The holographic display lit up with tactical data. At first, Zara thought there was a malfunction in the sensors. The readings made no sense. There appeared to be ships near Saturn's largest moon, dozens of them, but the energy signatures were all wrong. They were too faint, as if the vessels were powered down to minimal levels, and the configurations did not match anything in the human fleet database. Magnify the target area, Zara ordered. The image zoomed in. Titan filled the display, its thick atmosphere swirling with orange and brown clouds. And there, in the shadow of the moon, hiding from direct sunlight, were the ships. They were enormous, far larger than anything humanity was supposed to possess. Their hulls were dark and angular, covered in what appeared to be advanced stealth plating. As the stellar truth drew closer, the contacts suddenly activated. Power readings spiked across the board. Weapon systems came online, and the ships began to move. This is not possible, Zara whispered. The humans do not have this technology. We have seen their vessels. They are barely capable of sustained faster-than-light travel. These ships are more advanced than anything in the galactic fleet. Tev's hands were shaking as he worked his controls. Captain, I am reading energy cores that are putting out more power than our entire diplomatic fleet combined. And their weapon systems, I have never seen anything like them. They appear to be using some kind of directed spatial distortion technology. Before Zara could respond, a voice crackled over their communication system. It was human, male, and carried an edge of regret that made Zara's skin prickle. Alien vessel, this is Captain Ben Harper of the Earth Defense Network. You have entered restricted space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted back to the inner system. Zara activated her communication panel. We are on a peaceful research mission. We have council authority to survey this system. There was a pause. Then the human voice returned, heavier now. Your council authority means nothing out here. This is your only warning. Turn back now. Zara felt anger rise in her chest. She had been a scientist for 40 years. She had explored hundreds of systems. She would not be intimidated by a species that had only just learned to leave its own planet. We will not be threatened by a species that refuses to even attend council meetings. Stand down or we will report this aggression to the full assembly. The silence that followed was long enough that Zara thought perhaps the human had decided to back down. Then his voice came back and the regret in it was unmistakable. I am sorry. But you have seen too much. The sensors went haywire. Every alarm on the bridge started screaming at once. A massive energy surge built up around the stellar truth, coming from all directions simultaneously. Zara barely had time to scream an order before a beam of brilliant white light engulfed their ship. She felt herself being pulled apart and compressed at the same time. Space itself seemed to twist and fold around her. Her forearms flailed uselessly. Her eyes could not focus. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it ended. The stellar truth's bridge was intact. The crew was unharmed, but when Zara looked at the navigation display, her blood ran cold. They were no longer near Saturn. The massive ringed planet was gone. Instead, they were back in orbit around Earth, floating peacefully as if nothing had happened. Their weapon systems were completely disabled. Their main power was down to emergency levels. And when Zara tried to access their sensor logs, she found that the last hour of data had been completely erased. A message appeared on the main screen. It was text only, rendered in the common language. This is the only warning you will receive. Stay in the inner system or the next time we will not be merciful. Zara collapsed into her command chair. Her hands were shaking. Her mind was racing. What she had just experienced should not be possible. Instantaneous transportation across millions of kilometers. Surgical precision in disabling their systems without harming the crew, and that erasure of their sensor data, it had been done so thoroughly that even their backup systems showed nothing. Captain, Tev said quietly. What do we tell them? What do we tell the council? Zara stared at the message on the screen. She thought about the ship she had seen, the technology that should not exist, the humans who had just demonstrated power beyond anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. And she realized with absolute certainty that everything they thought they knew about humanity was wrong. We tell them the truth, that we found something that changes everything. The alien fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel with a flash of energy that lit up Earth's orbital sensor network. 7 massive vessels materialized in perfect formation, their hulls reflecting the light of the sun in spectacular fashion. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering by galactic standards, representing centuries of refinement and tradition. The lead vessel was the Eternal Dawn, flagship of the Vorath Diplomatic Corps. It was shaped like a massive crescent over 2 kilometers long, with weapon ports discreetly hidden beneath decorative hull plating. On the surface of Earth, in the specially constructed diplomatic facility outside of what used to be called Geneva, Ambassador Lisa Grant watched the ships arrive through the observation dome. She was 41 years old, with gray streaking through her dark hair and lines around her eyes that spoke of too many sleepless nights. She had been chosen for this assignment because of her ability to lie with a straight face, though the official reason given was her extensive experience in interspecies relations. Behind her, a team of technicians made final preparations to the receiving hall. The room had been designed to accommodate the various environmental needs of the expected visitors. One section was filled with water for the aquatic morphin delegate. Another area was superheated for the silicon-based thermans. In the center of the room was a large conference table that could adjust its height and shape to suit any physiology. Lisa's assistant, a young man named Peter who had been with her for 2 years, approached with a data pad. They are requesting permission to send down a shuttle. Standard diplomatic transport with 7 passengers. Lisa nodded. Grant it, and make sure our people understand the rules. No unauthorized recordings. No questions about technology. Smile, be polite, and let me do all the talking. Peter hesitated. Do you think they will believe us? Lisa turned to look at him. Her expression was carefully neutral. They believed us for the last 70 cycles. Let us hope our luck holds for one more day. The alien shuttle descended through the atmosphere an hour later. It was a sleek craft that moved with grace despite its size. It landed in the designated zone, and a ramp extended from its side. The delegates emerged one by one, and Lisa was there to greet them with a smile that did not quite reach her eyes. Ambassador Krell came first. He towered over Lisa, his scales gleaming green and gold in the sunlight. His massive head swiveled as he took in his surroundings with predatory precision. Behind him came Counselor Vesh, floating in a portable containment unit that hummed with barely audible energy. Commander Draxus followed, his massive frame requiring the ramp to be reinforced before he descended. The other delegates filed out after them, representing species from across the known galaxy. Welcome to Earth, Lisa said in the common language, her translator chip rendering her words in a way that each species could understand. We are honored by your presence. Krell's response came quickly, his tone making his irritation clear despite the electronic translation. Honored. Yet you refuse our invitation to join the Galactic Council. Explain this contradiction. Lisa maintained her smile and gestured toward the facility. Perhaps we could discuss this inside. We have prepared accommodations for all of you, and refreshments suitable for your various biologies. The aliens followed her into the receiving hall. They settled into their designated areas, and Lisa took her place at the head of the conference table. She was acutely aware of the camera hidden in the ceiling, transmitting everything to Kate and Ryan in their underground facility. She was also aware of the small device implanted behind her ear that would allow them to feed her information if needed. Krell wasted no time. We have come for an answer. The Galactic Council extended an invitation to humanity 70 cycles ago. Every species responds within 5. You have sent only silence. This is not acceptable. Lisa folded her hands on the table in front of her. She had practiced this moment 1,000 times, but now that it was here, her mouth felt dry. We appreciate the offer. Truly, we do. It is a tremendous honor. But humanity must respectfully decline. The room erupted. Several delegates began speaking at once, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of confusion and anger. Counselor Vesh's light pulsed rapidly, indicating extreme agitation. Commander Draxus rose to his full height, his fur bristling. Lisa waited for the noise to die down before continuing. She kept her voice calm and level. We have our reasons. What reasons? Krell demanded, leaning forward until his massive head was level with hers. What reasons could possibly justify such arrogance? Every species seeks to join the Council. It is the highest achievement a civilization can reach. To refuse it is to spit in the face of 10,000 years of galactic tradition. Lisa glanced at the camera, hoping Kate would see the plea in her eyes. But no guidance came through her earpiece. She was on her own. We are simply not ready. Humanity needs more time to develop on our own before we can meaningfully contribute to galactic affairs. It was a weak excuse. Everyone in the room knew it. The silence that followed was heavy with suspicion. A new voice spoke up. It belonged to Captain Zara of the Quillen Cooperative, a species known for their scientific acumen. She was smaller than most of the other delegates, with 4 arms and large multifaceted eyes. Your technological development has been monitored. You advance at a normal rate. Your wars are primitive. Your culture is unremarkable. Yet you act as though you possess some great secret. Why? We are just cautious, Lisa replied. But even she could hear how hollow the words sounded. Counselor Vesh pulsed with a color that translated as skepticism. Caution does not explain evasion. There is something you fear we will discover. The meeting continued for hours. The aliens pressed from every angle. Lisa deflected and dodged, using every diplomatic trick she had learned in 20 years of service. But she could feel the situation slipping away from her. They were too smart, too experienced. They had been playing this game for millennia while humanity was barely out of its infancy. Finally, Krell stood abruptly. His chair scraped against the floor with a sound like tearing metal. This is pointless. You will not talk, so we will investigate ourselves. The Council grants us this right when dealing with uncooperative species. We will send research teams throughout your system. We will examine your colonies, your outposts, your vessels, and we will discover what you hide. Lisa's carefully maintained composure cracked. That would be unwise. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Commander Draxus leaned forward, his voice a low growl. Is that a threat? Lisa took a deep breath. She could feel Kate screaming at her through the camera, but it was too late now. It is a warning. Please just take our word for it. Stay in the inner system. Do not go beyond Mars. The aliens exchanged glances. Something unspoken passed between them. Krell's scales rippled with what might have been satisfaction. So there is something beyond Mars. Lisa closed her eyes. She had said too much. The secret she was supposed to protect had just been compromised by her own words. Krell turned to his fellow delegates. We will begin our survey at dawn, starting with your outer system. If you truly have nothing to hide, you will not object. Lisa opened her eyes and met his gaze. And if we do object, Krell's expression was unreadable. Then we will know for certain that you are hiding something. Either way, Ambassador Grant, the time for secrets is ending. The Galactic Council chamber floated in the void of space, a massive structure built from materials harvested from 1,000 worlds. Inside its great hall, representatives from 73 different species gathered for their monthly assembly. The seats were arranged in a perfect circle, each one designed specifically for the physiology of its occupant. But one seat remained empty, and it had been empty for a very long time. Ambassador Krell of the Vorith Empire shifted his massive scaled body in his chair and glared at the vacant spot. His yellow eyes narrowed with barely contained anger. For 300 cycles, that seat had mocked them all. For 300 cycles, the humans had ignored the greatest honor any species could receive. Krell had fought in 17 wars before his people earned their place at this table. He had watched friends die for this privilege. And now these newcomers, these primitive, hairless apes from a backwater world, simply refused to show up. The meeting proceeded as it always did. Trade agreements were discussed. Border disputes were mediated. Scientific discoveries were shared among the member species. But through it all, Krell could not take his eyes off that empty chair. Finally, when the formal proceedings ended and the council entered its open forum period, he rose to his full height of 3 meters and addressed the assembly. His voice came out as a hiss that his translator rendered into the common language. The humans mock us with their silence. We extended the invitation 70 cycles ago. Every species in the history of the Council has responded within 5 cycles. Some begged for the honor. Some sent gifts of gratitude. But these humans have done nothing. They do not even acknowledge our messages anymore. Counselor Vesh of the Luminary Collective pulsed with soft blue light. The Luminary had no solid form, existing as beings of pure energy contained within specially designed chambers. Vesh's light flickered in what others had learned to recognize as curiosity. Perhaps they do not understand the significance. They are young. Their first vessel capable of faster-than-light travel only appeared 80 cycles ago. That is barely any time at all by our standards. Commander Draxus of the Kryn Dominion slammed a massive furred fist against the table. The Kryn were apex predators from a high-gravity world, and Draxus was large even by his species standards. His deep growl resonated through the chamber. Then we should educate them. Send a delegation. Demand an answer. My people do not tolerate disrespect, and neither should this council. A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly. Even species that typically advocated for patience were growing tired of humanity's silence. The vote was called and passed unanimously. A diplomatic fleet would be assembled and sent to Earth. The humans would be given one final chance to explain themselves. On Earth, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains in what had once been called Colorado, Director Kate Morrison sat in a chair that had not seen comfort in 3 days. Her office was buried under 2 kilometers of solid rock, protected by security systems that could vaporize an attacking army in seconds. The walls were lined with screens showing data streams from every corner of human space. But Kate was not looking at any of them. She was staring at a single message that had arrived an hour ago. The aliens were coming, a full diplomatic fleet. 7 ships carrying representatives from the most powerful species in known space. They would arrive in 6 days. Colonel Ryan Blake entered without knocking. He never knocked anymore. They had worked together for 11 years and had long since abandoned such formalities. His face was grim as he crossed the room and dropped into the chair across from her desk. His uniform was crisp despite the late hour, a habit from his days as a field commander. So they finally got tired of waiting. Kate nodded slowly. She looked older than her 47 years. The weight of the secret she carried had aged her in ways that regular stress never could. We knew this day would come. The question is whether we tell them the truth or continue the charade. Ryan leaned back and closed his eyes. If we tell them, everything changes. The entire power structure of the galaxy shifts overnight. There will be panic. There might be war. And if we keep lying, Kate said quietly, then the lie just gets bigger. We are not good liars, Ryan. We never have been. Our agents in galactic space report that some species are already suspicious. The Quillan scientists have been asking questions about our technology curve. The Vorath military has noticed gaps in our defensive positions that do not make sense for a species of our supposed capability. Ryan opened his eyes and looked at her. So what do we do? Kate turned to her desk and activated a holographic display. It showed a three-dimensional map of the solar system, but this map had details that no alien had ever seen. Beyond Mars, the map was covered in red markers. Each marker represented something the aliens did not know existed. Mining stations on the moons of Jupiter, hidden military installations in the asteroid belt, massive shipyards in orbit around Saturn, and further out, past Neptune, structures so large they could be seen from Earth with the naked eye if anyone knew where to look. We do what we have always done. We stall, we misdirect. We give them just enough truth to satisfy their curiosity, while hiding the parts that would terrify them. Ryan studied the map with the eye of a military strategist. And if they push, if they demand to survey the outer system, Kate's expression hardened. Then we push back, gently at first, but if they insist on poking around where they should not be, we will have to show them enough strength to make them stop without showing them so much that they realize how outmatched they truly are. It is a dangerous game, Ryan said. Kate shut down the holographic display and stood. The map vanished, leaving them in the dim light of her office. She walked to the window, though calling it a window was generous. It was a screen displaying a real-time feed from the surface above them. The sun was setting over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Everything we have done for 300 years has been a dangerous game. This is just the next hand we have to play. Ryan joined her at the window. They stood in silence for a long moment, watching the day end. Somewhere above them, beyond the atmosphere, beyond the orbit of the moon, beyond the reach of alien sensors, hundreds of human ships maintained their silent vigil. Those ships represented technology that the galactic community believed was impossible. They were crewed by people who had never set foot on Earth, whose grandparents had never set foot on Earth, whose entire civilization existed in the shadows between the stars. Do you ever wonder if we made the right choice? Ryan asked. 300 years ago, when we first made contact and decided to hide. Do you think our ancestors chose wisely? Kate continued to watch the sunset. I think they chose survival. Whether that was wisdom or cowardice, history will have to decide. Right now, we just have to make sure there is a history to judge them. The sun disappeared below the horizon. The screen showed stars emerging in the darkening sky. In 6 days, some of those stars would be blotted out by the arrival of the alien fleet. In 6 days, humanity's greatest secret would be tested like never before. Kate turned away from the window and walked back to her desk. She had work to do. Messages to send. Preparations to make. The aliens wanted answers, and she would have to decide which lies to tell them next.